Uh, Thank you and a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of NTT Netmagic, CorporateServe, and SMEVenture. Our apology for the technical glitches and disconnection, and for keeping. We will have a fruitful discussion today, which will give certain best practices. The conversation today we intend to have is on the benefits and challenges of SAP HANA migration for enterprises, and what are going to be the benefits for organizations and the challenges also. We have a very esoteric set of panelists today joining the show. In addition, we have two industry experts, Mr. Vinay Vohra, who is the CEO and founder of CorporateServe, which is a solution provider and an implementation partner for SAP HANA implementation and migration for organizations. And we have also Mr. Girish Sharma, who is a senior general manager and product line head from NTT Netmagic. NTT Netmagic is one of the leading infrastructure solution providers. In addition, we have on the panel Mr. Subrata Banerjee, who is a VP IT Aluminium Power and Ports of Vedanta Limited. We have Jitendra Mishra, who is a VP and Group CIO of Alembic Pharma. We have Abhay Bapna, who is the AVP application of Adani Wilmar. We have Sanjay Gharde, who is the head IT of JK Paper. We have Jagdip Kumar, who is the CIO of Lohia Corp. We have Heramba Naik, who is a senior GM ICT of TRL Kosaki Refractories. We have Vijay Bhaskar, who is the head IT of Sri Kalahasti Pipes. We have Dhananjaya P, who is the head IT of NRB Bearings. We have Kushal Varshney, who is the CTO of Virescent Infrastructure. We have Chandresh Dedhia, who is the head IT of Ascent Health. And we have Yatin, who is the CIO of Valify. So my first question to each of the panelists will be, I will request each of you to mention one benefit of migrating your workloads to HANA, especially from your work experience and experience in your specific vertical, and one challenge. So one benefit and one challenge, I would request each of you to be a little brief and succinct. May I start with you, Subrata, Mr. Banerjee?
Yeah, like normally any ERP implementations for creating any CTO, than creating a business case, like how it will pay back to the organization. And this HANA S4 fortunately gives you that particular cushion. There are three things: the mobility, which is your PV, 800,000 plus queries are available out of box. And the other one is, toughest one was the earlier BIW, which we used to implement multiple times, but never used to get result. So the Lumira, which is a view, and Lumira gives you a real-time analytics, which makes your life much simpler. So one is PV gives you analytical capability as well as mobility. The other one is your Lumira gives you real-time analytics, which makes huge. You can do slice and dice of your business and take much informed decision rather than depend on after 8 hours or 10 hours a particular things will come. On the change management, I will tell you, like say people talk about today migration, that is they do technical conversion, which is very easiest for the CIO not to take challenge. But I can only tell you that when you take any running business, when you talk about a blackout period of 2 to 3 days, it's a huge hit for your business because it's a unwanted pressure on your business. If you re-implement, I can the way I implemented with KPMG and EY supporting me for GL to GL, and we are took 1 single hour blackout period. So night 12 o'clock we close sale. Next day morning, we are able to do plant maintenance, production planning, and everything able to operate, and which also captured by real-time costing and every information. So if you just take little more challenge, if you re-implement, it's much better than you're going for conversion, because your data clarity, if you neat and clean and things comes out, your analytics will be much better off.
Okay. Thank you. So, primarily, you talked about mitigating the downtime challenges. We'll take this up. I'll come to you, Jitendra. Your views on one benefit of HANA migration and one challenge. Jitendra?
We don't see Jitendra here.
Oh, okay. So then I'll move on to Abhay. Abhay, from your experience, one benefit and one challenge, if you can mention.
Like we also moved similar to, like, we were using ECC and then we moved to S4 HANA. So while moving, we realized that the process and everything which was designed was 2007-6 processes, and there were a lot of customization which was done. So our next objective was to redesign all the process, start from the clean state, so that from data to process to rules, everything is redesigned. So that's one place where everybody supported. So that's where our process are now redefined. Now we have a more streamlined and the tiles based approach is there, and Furies, which we have used extensively till now, because we moved to 1709. So that was the first thing which we did. So that's where we found that the adaptation initially was challenged, in the set we had a dedicated team of the project, and which is also right now also supporting. So that also is helping us out actually. And from the best advantage was online analytics, Fury apps, real-time decision making, instead of going to BIU and then working on it. So all those things we have reduced, and it's almost now 30 months, and we have not created additional reports, or we have not moved to BIBU. So that's where I feel it is users are more comfortable in the real time. And when we talk digital, so that is where the things are happening and people are understanding. So change management and everything is now gradually moved to the new world of digital transformation. So that's one thing. And another thing which we did was we moved to the cloud environment, HEC environment. So end-to-end management, ownership of the infrastructure, upgrades, patch, security, everything is single vendor. So that's where we got real benefit, in the sense we are more focused on the application and business enablers rather than managing day-to-day activities. That's what I feel are the positive signs actually.
Okay, thank you. So here the challenge and the way to mitigate the challenge we heard is about the single vendor. We will take this issue up subsequently. I'll come to you, Sanjay. What has been your experience in terms of one benefit and one challenge while migrating to HANA?
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. See, my case was different. What the Sobrato and the Abhay said. I have actually migrated to SAP S4 HANA from JD Edward, and JD Edward, which was even that 9.0 the version, which was old, quite old version. So for me, the benefits were I got the agility on the processes. My processes were streamlined, and on the paper industry, when I came here, I come to know that everyone is seeing that paper business is happening like this only. So all those things has been plugged. So what I could do it, streamline the all the processes across all the locations in the manufacturing, logistics, supply chain, the procurement, all the modules. And then we said that these are the standard processes which we need to follow and do it. For challenge, I would say that when I am actually disrupting the comfort zone of everyone, so I got the definitely the change management as the bigger challenge, because people used to work on their own way, and paper industry, my experience says that the all the manufacturing side, if you look at, paper industry is never really the tech savvy in terms of the moving ahead along with the technology. So they are very happy doing it, whatever they are doing it. When we change the, I would say that why? Because when we change the processes were almost 27, 28-year-old processes, written down processes. And those were, these still people were following. So 26, 27-year-old processes which are written down, and they were following and saying that all paper industry follows these processes, which has the biggest challenge for me. So my submission is, while going on any migration, people should evaluate that what kind of disruption they are bringing in as a CIO, because it was a tough task, but definitely we could sail through the complete the hurdle and the successfully implemented. Now it is streamlined. Now people are, after a year, people started appreciating that no, yes, there are benefits out of it.
Okay. Thanks. Primarily from the challenge aspect, you spoke about that each technical has its own dynamics and own processes, and it's very critical to incorporate those dynamics and those processes while doing the implementation. We'll take this up subsequently. Jagdip, I'll come to you with your view on the benefit and the challenge in HANA migration.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to all my co-panelists. Thanks for giving this opportunity to me to share my views. So, I did the HANA migration in 2018, and the key benefits I would say are three, though you have asked only one. The first is the speed on which you execute the transactions. Second is the mobility, and third is, which is the more important, to make the organization future ready, so that in today's world, when we are talking about AI, ML, and lot of other technologies, how you are going to interface with them, how your manufacturing, how your machines and other things, you are going to make the organizations ready to handle that piece of this. And when it comes to challenge, I would say any migration project has only one challenge, and that challenge is it should not be treated like an IT project. So the CIO job should be to make it business project. So business, we should ensure that business see the benefits out of this migration. So if that is done, then I think no other challenge will come to this.
Okay, thank you. So instead of just the technology part, what you recommend is aligning the business process. Even bigger challenge. We'll discuss this. Now I'll come to Heramba. Your views on the benefit and challenge.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jagdip, for setting the context. In the present era of Industry 4.0, digital transformation is the way of life. And when we are talking about digital transformation, we also need to look at the aspect of the ERP, because ERP is a business critical application for any industry. And when you look at the generations of ERP, we are still using the third generation of ERP, and it's high time for us to adopt the fourth generation ERP, that is the digital core ERP, S4 HANA. So there are many benefits of S4 HANA, but as you have asked for a single benefit, I would say, we have looked at the aspect of the improving employee experience. Because if you look at an article published in Harvard Business Review, it says that enterprises that drive initiatives to enhance employee experience are 4 times more profitable than those who do not. So we have kept this aspect at the center, and we decided to migrate to S4 HANA, because S4 HANA has got the capability to bring a lot of user experiences, which ultimately lead into improved performance, user productivity, real-time visibility of information, and also the advantages of analytics, which are part of the S4 HANA. Apart from that, other benefits like the reduction in data footprint, which is very, very important in the current aspect, which is just like carbon footprint. So if you adopt S4 HANA, you will get a reduction of data footprint to the tune of around 60%, which will help you to manage your technology for a long term, and also you'll be able to take advantage of real-time analytics and other aspects. And last but not the least, because SAP S4 HANA is offering you the Fiori application at the presentation layer, you will get a huge experience of mobility and other aspects, which will obviously improve the employee productivity. Now, coming to challenges, if you look at the challenges, there are multiple challenges, of course, but I will pick up one important challenge that is related to the quality of data. If the quality of data is not properly managed, it may lead to a failure to some extent. When we say quality of data, it is all about accuracy, it is all about completeness of data, consistency of data, and reliability of data. Because data being the new oil in the organization, and you are adopting a next generation, I would say digital core ERP, your data has to be, very, very correct and accurate. So data quality is a challenge, of course, but which need to be mitigated through proper planning, proper, audit and reviews, and which will become a, kind of game changer for successful implementation of S4. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Quality of data cannot be compromised. That is the biggest challenge you have mentioned. I'll move to Vijay next. What are your views on the benefit and challenge?
Yeah, good afternoon, all my fellow CAOs and panel members. Just to brief about our company, ours is a ductile iron plant manufacturing company situated near Tirupati, Srikalahasti. So we have just migrated our conventional ERP, that is ERP 6.0, to S4 HANA just 1 year back. Incidentally, February 24th of 2020 is our go live date. So coming to the benefits or whatever, other panelists have already sounded very well, that we had looked for to change our ERP, conventional ERP, which is of almost 10 years old or something, to get the benefit on performance and speed. Okay. So as we are going for performance and speed, as the HANA is having all the capabilities of real-time analytics, embedded analytics, or some of the readily available Fiori reports and all, we have envisaged all those things, and the benefit is like now management is very happy, users are also very happy. As my friend Heramba has told, that user experience is the main criteria for any kind of success of any kind of software. So we are also we have also taken the feedback from some of the SAP core users and all. So it's like speed and performance is one of the benefit, and secondly the readily available platform for any kind of future adaptabilities. These I can say are the benefits, and the challenge is like as usual, like whenever you want to change your already going processes, people will definitely try to give some kind of resistance. Most of the people, not all people. So in our case also, we have faced some resistance for some time, and later on slowly when some of the interaction sessions and some of the training sessions have happened, so people have realized, and then we could able to migrate fair enough, fair in stipulated time. And yes, these things what I would like to share with you.
Okay. Thank you. So basically, you have talked about user resistance, business user resistance part. So next, I'll come to you, Dhananjay. In NRB bearings, what has been your experience in terms of the benefit and challenge, and overall from your experience, what will you say?
Great. Hi guys, very good afternoon, and thanks for having me here. Of course, NRB is yet to get on SAP, but I do come with two HANA live and migration experience in earlier company. See, essentially, ECC to HANA migration poses a great challenge when it comes to kind of an investment. Typically, we all get that question like, what is the ROI on this kind of an investment? That's pretty clear. And that's always a challenge to handle. Yes, of course, there are certain answers hidden in within the business benefits what the simple finance typically, because like explaining the simple finance and the advantages of simple finance, common ledgers, these all things drive the right perspective to the key decision maker, which is nothing but your CFO. So having CFO office in confidence is more important, and taking those business benefits is the key thing over there. Apart from that, at any typical industry, a manufacturer would have key issues related to supply chain and your SAP MRP or the material demand planning part of it. Since 1510, even in 1610, 1709, 1909, there's been a significant improvement on the MRP part of it, which is very crucial for a manufacturer. And I have seen the pain process of running an MRP from starting from SAP 40B till 1909. We used to run MRPs for continuously 3 days during those olden days. But today we do run multiple runs of MRP with interdependent plants also. Especially when you're a component manufacturer, you've got a different component coming from another factory of yours. So incorporating that in MRP and then having a multiple run, that's a very clear case advantage, which really helps your manufacturing and supply chain team to prove your case of migration. On the technical part, yes, of course, reduce data footprint, your embedded analytics, and the fastness, the agility and the fastness what HANA provides. These are not, maybe, of course, for a technically, this might be a good point to sell across. But essentially for us, we always thrived on these 2 points, like what is it it has for an organization from a finance point of view and from a supply chain point of view. That's how we in fact proceeded, or rather went ahead with the HANA migration as such. Challenges, of course, there are plenty, and I think probably going forward we'll be looking one-to-one, because it's generally for me the challenges were only 3 P. I call it as 3 P's of challenges. P for people, process, and we do have partner. These are 3 critical challenges we always face, whether it is a greenfield or a brownfield. So here also it was the same thing, but albeit challenges are quite different in nature, but the challenging elements remain the same. That's
Okay.
how it is.
Thank you. So people, processes, and partners. So definitely we'll take up all these 3 issues. Subsequently, I'll come to you, Kushal. What are your views on the benefit and challenge?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity. And good afternoon, all my co-panelists. So in our company, coming from a manufacturing background, now serving into a renewable energy sector company, and which is growing by merger and acquisition. So we have acquired multiple companies already. During pandemic, our company was incorporated. Now we have started implementation also. Right, currently we are in phase of SAP S4 HANA implementation. We evaluated multiple ERPs. We have the option or luxury to, you can say, as a extend the existing licenses which came as a part of merger acquisition, but we decided no, let's build a solid foundation, because going forward the growth is like next 2 years we are targeting to acquire around 20-30 companies more. Let's build a robust foundation, and then we look forward towards HANA, because SAP S4 HANA, because one is that this is now more mobile first, more cloud first kind of environment. Lots of things which are available. I think many of my co-panelists, they have already mentioned, like it is lots of embedded data is available, embedded analytics is there, embedded BI, BO. In fact, you can BI you can get. We are in fact implementing embedded BPC, business planning and consolidation, because right now we are having 12 subsidiaries, 12 SPVs. So for us, consolidation is a very challenging task. So we are implementing BPC as well. So that is also available in now SAP S4 HANA as embedded. So you don't need a separate BW server and then BPC server for that. So that we are doing. In fact, we are the early, I think early 5 customers in India to adopt PCI, private cloud edition of SAP S4 HANA. So I think lots of good things. My co-panelists, they have already, I think, listed down many things, like be it in-memory solution, because of which we have more speed. So which be it running a report which earlier used to take maybe 12 hours or 2 days, or be it MRP run, now everything is coming faster, much faster. That's because of in-memory solution. So that is one that and Fury, like they are more cloud first, mobile first approach. So Fury is definitely very helpful, more user friendly. People can access it from mobile or tablet, or from browser also, in along with the traditional SAP GUI. So that is also available. From a challenges perspective, I think in fact we are getting good support from SAP also. What we are facing right now is, so triple P is, of course, it is there, as rightly mentioned by Dhananjay. So triple P is there, but in addition to triple P is we are facing in terms of being a PC customer. So private cloud edition, lots of responsibilities. So entire ownership. In fact, I can say almost 60-70% chunk of basis activities are also taken care by SAP. So now partner has to reach out to SAP for lots of coordination, lots of enablement. So there we have good amount of support and handholding required from SAP side. And we being a PE-driven company, like we being a KKR portfolio company, we got some project coach, project angel. So SAP runs different PE program, and basis that we have dedicated engagement manager, dedicated project coach, project angel, access to larger SAP team, and they are part of our regular calls. So so in general also SAP provides enterprise support, but they are more easily approachable to us. So things are getting resolved. In fact, we are also implementing CPI, so which is cloud equivalent of PI, platform integration. So cloud platform integration, which we are implementing. So there also, I think very few customers have implemented that in SAP. So we are also, I think, very early customers of that. So there also, because of, I think people are not having that knowledge or those things, but IBM is doing definitely a great job. So IBM is our implementation partner. They are helping, and then yeah.
Okay. Primarily, the coordination between SAP and the implementation partner is a challenge, and definitely we'll touch upon this. Chandresh, I'll come to you next with your opinion on the benefit and challenge.
Sure. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you all. Good afternoon to all attendees and panelists. Thanks for inviting me to this panel. I think the power to handle bigger data and analytics is one of the biggest point to have SAP S4 HANA. I think with SAP HANA in your organization, it's much better to handle large amount of data, and I think even go beyond with the big data trend that we see these days, right? You will also be able to process a far greater amount of data thanks to the way it is stored and accessed. Basically, it's again a technology. In-memory technology means you'll waste no time in loading that data, and we've seen very basic HANA processes which are up to more than 10 times faster, right? And like Dhananjay mentioned, the MRP is so much faster. So in my previous experience in pharma, I think this was one of the biggest challenges that we had, that the amount of time that it required to do the estimation or do the demand planning was much higher, right? Again, that in-memory technology improves drastically the time, and also perform the most comprehensive of such MRP runs or demand planning runs, and the reports are also much faster. And I mean, you could almost say that these are real-time reports that you get, unlike in the previous generation of SAP, which used to take hours and hours for you to run. I mean, depending on how much data set you want to run. I remember there were times when we had to do our month end run, and those used to take at least 12 to 18 hours for us. And with HANA, I think that has reduced to definitely less than an hour. In terms of challenges, I think technology is the biggest challenge, right? As it requires a new set of skill set and the architecture which you are going to adopt. You have to shed that traditional mindset and the legacy mindset and be ready to move to a next generation of application, technology, architecture, and with a proper change management of your existing set of users, right? Because I think for any project to be successful, I think it is your team and your users who will make it success. I mean, there are different parameters again, like Purushottam mentioned, 3P. I think personally feel technology is most complex, because then you are also trying to change the mindset of an individual, which is not as easy as people think it is, right? And overall the team is going to manage the HANA ecosystem.
Okay. Thank you. Got it. Yatin, I'll come to your view on the benefit and the challenge. Yatin? Okay. So now then I'll come to you, Vinay. Vinay, you have heard now all the CIOs speaking, and one issue that came about was basically for a CIO of an enterprise looking at HANA migration, the relation between SAP and the implementation partner and the enterprise organization. CIOs might look at a better consolidated approach where there is more improved coordination between SAP and the implementation partner. So what is your experience as a leading SAP implementation partner? What is your experience in this aspect, and the way you work with an infrastructure solution provider like Netmagic and SAP and the user organization? How would you recommend that CIOs should look at this consolidation better? Vinay.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope I am audible. And good afternoon to everyone. I heard most of the panelists talked about the technical aspects of benefits and challenges of migrating to the latest technology of SAP. I am talking about the same subject, and then I will answer specific question asked. And somehow it seems everybody has missed one most important factor, that why should a company decide to move to SAP S4 HANA or from a legacy database to HANA database. So the factor that decides, of course, benefits of the new technology would drive the decision, but there is one more factor which drives the decision-making process, and that is the dead end offered by SAP. There is a limitation from SAP that after a particular date, the support to the legacy database may not be available, at least it may not be assured, and all new innovations by SAP would be on the new technology, which is HANA. So this particular benefit of moving to SAP S4 HANA or moving to SOH is one of the most pressing reasons for migration. Now I come to the specific question that you asked. Oh, okay, I forgot about the challenge also. So I must mention the challenge that we normally see people face in migration is that people think, or the management of the companies, they think that it is just an update project and it is a technical update project, whereas actually it is not that simple a project. It is a very complex project, as important as implementing SAP altogether. Although technically it is not implementation of SAP, it is migrating the existing transactional data as well as master data to and the processes to the new setup.
but still it is as important as entire implementation. Therefore, what people need to do is give sufficient time for testing, particularly for companies that exist in India, where in India we hardly use the standard SAP 100%. Somewhere we do enhancements, somewhere we apply RISEPs. So those objects that are RISEPs need to be migrated and need to be tested. So there should be sufficient time given for testing. So this is a challenge which we find people don't give so much of importance. So that's about the previous question that we had addressed. Now coming exactly to the question that you were asked, I think the relationship between SAP and customer is very important, and one of the important pillars of that relationship is a partner. So partner acts as a very important tool of relationship between SAP and the end customer. And what we need to do in order to manage this is to have a very clear expectation management, which means what we expect from the partner or what we expect from the customer or the engagement needs to be clearly agreed in advance. So once that is done, then there would be no issues with the implementation partner or no issues with the migration or the technology. So sufficient time needs to be devoted at the time of planning and discussing with the implementation partner about the approach of migration, about the scope of migration, about the new technology that we are going to adopt, and the complete methodology. SAP has done a very good job in narrating all those things and creating documents, and all the steps of migration and all the issues that may be faced by customers during migration are already clarified and written and published. Even then, if during migration anything happens or any issue comes up, which is very common these days, so those issues are addressed by the SAP support. So I think this is what I wanted to say about the question. If you have any other doubt, I would be very happy to answer that.
Sure. We'll come to you. I'll move to you, Girish, now. We have heard in couple of instances that organizations which are migrating to HANA were also migrating to a cloud environment. So as one of the premier infrastructure solution provider and a cloud provider, what were your experience with the CIOs? And you have heard what quite a lot of manufacturing and pharma related organizations are here. So after listening to their experience, how would you talk about the role of an infrastructure provider like NTT Netmagic working with these enterprises? Girish.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rajneesh. First of all, very good afternoon, and thank you everyone here on this panel along with you all. We have done nearly 200 plus enterprise deployment. I'm sorry, I'm not in my very good shape today, so kindly excuse me for that, but it was sudden last minute eruption. So I will be resilient enough and be a part of the entire panel. So we have done more than 200 plus enterprises, and I totally agree with what we heard, the 3P challenges, right? That is aptly summarized, people, processes, and then the partner. That's an important thing. We with partners like CorporateServe who are front-ending the application deployment and managing it. We are actually acting as a specialized partner for IT infrastructure, and we have been playing in this domain for last 23 years. What I observed is as people are moving into the cloud, the key challenge that they face is now SAP HANA. We all heard that architecturally it is an in-memory, its design is in memory, right? Thereby you're leveraging the large chunks of data that you can process. You can get real-time analytics, which you further leverage for your CX or your MIS and whatever the ways you want to use it. The core thing that we have realized that while at the last mile, people, when infrastructure decisions are coming at the last mile, when you're done with SAP, you're done with SAP implementation partner, people want to cut down a lot on infrastructure, right? The key thing is infrastructure is that base on which you're running your entire SAP system. So we always, with partners like CorporateServe, we always recommend that the right sizing there is very important. Cloud gives you one important benefit is you can cut it down. You can start small and grow big. But that flexibility you have to keep in mind. Second key thing that we see with our customers is all of them are asking cloud. We talk to them about hybrid cloud, right? So players like us, what we have practiced with organizations, because see, important thing is people and processes are different from organization to organization. Some organizations love to still enjoy that power of bare metal, which is undeniable, right? And mix it with power of virtualization like VMware we use for our SAP HANA cloud, right? So we really give rise to an hybrid IT. I can give you a simple example, like some SAP HANA landscapes are in a virtual private cloud cluster for SAP where all their application and database layer are single tenant, and that cluster is totally dedicated to one customer. Other customers, they love to run their HANA dev queue and production database on TDI or bare metal power, and they want to run their application layer on cloud. So such hybrid IT should be available to all enterprises because people and processes are different from different organizations. So we really bring forth that expertise to put the hybrid IT for SAP HANA in its real sense, where everything is connected. You can start small and scale to any of the format, including TDI, cloud, and appliances, all acting together, right? So that's how we have been able to put a strong foot forward along clubbed with people like CorporateServe. We give a single ownership. We heard that you should get the right kind of bandwidth and expertise from the infrastructure provider who's core, as well as your application partner, right? So you get a lot of bandwidth at our place because we being an Indian player for last 23 years, serving 2,500 plus enterprises, we really understand that value of personal connect and supporting our customers when they need it. And yes, all of us are here to address the issues. If there are no issues, we are not required. That's what I say. So we leverage that practice, what we have learned over the years, what kind of challenges people face, and we solve them much faster and bring forth that expertise to serve our customers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So one important aspect we heard here is especially when many of the organizations are today migrating to cloud and typically a more hybrid cloud environment, this right sizing. So I'd like to maybe ask Sanjay first. How about your opinion when the organization is migrating towards cloud? How critical is this right sizing, and what is your opinion on this?
See, on my opinion on moving the cloud, each the CIO will definitely prefer to move to the cloud. But as per me, whenever we are trying to go and sell it to our management, because the still all IT projects are being sold internally first, and then probably it has been executed, and there is no plan as this entity, Panelists has already said that the infrastructure decision has been taken at the end. That is right, but people would like to, whenever you are trying to make it, people will say that just make the comparison between the on-prem solution or on the cloud solution, and where my investments for 5 years or 7 years are getting infected. So fortunately, unfortunately, whatever for the NTT and people like NTT and all, when we were trying to do it, the SAP S4 HANA, we've done this the ROI calculation on the on-prem as well as on the cloud, and what we felt is that initially, as we know that we need to start small and we can grow whatever we can grow. But we know that the companies, the strategy point of view, that at 5 years, what could be the growth of the company and what kind of data or infrastructure we needed. So keeping in mind, if we take it even the 5 years of the capex investment, putting the complete the interest on the capex investment for another 3-4 years, still the cloud is very expensive. I know that now cloud is becoming cheaper, but at this point of time, if someone wants to really go on the cloud, now everyone is stressed very the hard in terms of the balance sheet of each organization in today's scenario. And if you see that my cost is going up on the cloud, no one will adopt the cloud. Okay, so for us, we have definitely bought the hardware, and we created the private cloud, put it in the IBM's data center. That's how we've done it, and we made the good deal out of it. Otherwise, looking at the cloud solution, in 3 years, both the ROI or investment lines were the crossing, and the cloud investment going the up and up. So I suppose, if I look at it 7-year horizon from the date of installation, after 7 years, my cost of the investment was just double in the cloud. So that's how my input is for the cloud vendors, that until unless they become competitive, still that cloud is still the far away for those kind of companies. People maybe at least for the manufacturing. I don't know if the other companies like Pharma and all, where their expertise is somewhere else, they don't really want to put the more effort on the infrastructure or technology side to make it run. They would say that let's put it on the cloud and forget it kind of a thing. In the manufacturing, because the people are still running the old kind of a scenario where their data center is within the factory premise itself. So for moving them is very difficult. They will really count the pennies out of it. They will say that if penny is not saved in the cloud, why to move to the cloud? So that's how we face the challenge also, and we are actually on the I would say the private cloud only.
Okay. Thank you. Subrata, I'll come to you. What are your expectations from your infrastructure provider as well as your implementation partner?
PwC was our implementation partner, and we came for SAP team as an audit partner, making sure that we are exploiting the entire S4 features when we implemented the entire as a big bang. And we're the world first implementations. That is what, as per SAP, large-scale implementation, full-scale large implementation. In that situation, PwC is supposed to carry a lot of best practices, and which they have done. Like earlier, up to code in R3 we used to be able to address, and thereafter code to setting it to the end customer used to be in another legacy applications. So this entire this treasury portion of it, front office and back office, as well as the export, both the cycles, and many other financial simple finance, as one of my panelists already said, was completely smooth running today. And the best part of it is that initial R3 closing used to take at least 2 days for us, and we used to force business to go on a 3rd day onward sale, and that to clear a skewness is to be extra low. Seriously, I'm telling you that we, by virtue of PwC as well as SAP, and definitely the business team, which is the people who are working on ground. Today we close, we are closing at 10 o'clock morning after physical verification is over, and 11 o'clock onward we are selling, and almost both the plant together, if you tell me that 3,000 ton of metal is being sold, which used to be on a 3rd day. So from the day 1 we are selling and done. Closing cockpit helped us for closing activity. So that's also another stuff which was new, and they have really configured well, which is now earlier 5th used to be my account closing. Today it is on 2nd morning 10 o'clock. They are ready to give the sector figure as well as to the group figure. So these are the kind of challenges used to be there at the beginning, like will you get business benefit and really can you shorten this time frame? But fortunately, the PwC, they know about finance, and they used to know this kind of business challenges being an audit firm. So they're able to address those stuff. So that has been on the infrastructure. I'll tell you the way one of my panelists already said. The cloud trusted us very heavily. We explored both, like we took IBM as an platform, because earlier we used to run R series. So we took IBM as an adopted this R8 kind of servers, and there that costed me 90 lakh in 3DR landscape. And when I compare the cloud costing, like you take about your, we consider that point in time SAP themselves was there, one of the cloud provider. One of IBM used to be there, and we take even INFI like your CFI kind of people also we consider. But there, the lowest price which came is 2 crore per annum kind of stuff. And in 90 lakh, we packed it for 5 years. All AMC, everything, all inclusive. So that means in less than a year, half year, the entire price is coming, the money is coming back on my table. So I only request to the cloud, Netmagic and all other people that we need to be precisely like the boxes are costing very high. Today hardware don't cost so much. And managing things is very, very simplified today. Like you need very, very small team to manage HANA S4 kind of stuff. So I need to be a very reasonable one so that everyone next future CIOs who is going to adopt HANA, they must jump into cloud. Definitely why everyone is run in isolation, that is another business stream. So that I promote that, but there needs to be cost friendly. They need to be little friendly. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. So this budget part we'll discuss. I'll come to Abhay. My question is, especially during these pandemic times, though we are mostly talking to manufacturing organizations, and for manufacturing organizations, some part of the work had to be done physically. But even when many people were doing work from home or work from anywhere, the nature and pattern of workloads itself had changed. So keeping in mind organizations which have migrated to HANA, how were these changing workload patterns? How did that impact the organizations? Abhay.
Yeah. So like to be frank, like most of our plants are remote based, so that continued without any impact on the workload. Second is people who are at the corporate or who are on the move, they work through mobile and work from home. So from SAP point of view or for HANA point of view, we did not had many issues on that side actually.
Okay. Okay. Dhananjay, I'll put this question to you. Again, in this HANA environment, when there was a significant change in workloads itself with this work from home and work from anywhere environment, what was the impact you have seen?
The impact was on the VPN part of it because we had certain users who would be working only from office who did not need a VPN when they because they never came up from any of the other networks. So the significant impact was on VPN, but however, we took some risks of exposing the SAP router itself to the internet with certain other security. They added up security layers, and we in fact fine-tuned certain SAP scripts which would identify the assets which would log in. So likewise, if the user uses his personal desktop or personal laptop, he would not be allowed to log into SAP because the company assets were identified before the system authorizes the users to log in. So we had to do that because elsewise we were staring at an expense of 70 lakhs to 80 lakhs on a VPN. That was a major impact for us during the COVID.
Kushal, you would like to add on in terms of the impact of this work from home on the workload pattern and the overall impact?
Definitely. So one thing, so during pandemic, I have switched, so I can share more for about my previous company because during lockdown I was working in some different companies. So there, honestly, since I have joined, the way we designed it, it is more like you work from any part of the world. But before I have joined, they had some central SCADA server where we were getting data from different plants, and it is stored centrally, and so that we have to keep up and running. Now for that purpose, our IT person has to travel maybe once in a month to check and ensure like if it is up and running, and that was in South Bombay, so it's in Churchgate. So that was the only thing, and there we feel, and so since beginning I always like, if we don't have that much workload or that much you can say server sizing and all those things, then why to create So now mostly people are working in a leased offices or rental offices. So in that case, so I know many people, when they factor in the costing part, so if it is a manufacturing setup, then for them cost may not be the that big item, because sparing a small room for server room or a small data center kind of thing, it won't cost much. They can spare it easily in the factory premises. But if you are planning that in corporate office or in a city like Mumbai, it's a cost. It's a cost. So I think people miss that. So keeping that in mind, so cost of running that, so which is electricity cost, cooling cost, right? And then definitely, so rightly pointed by my colleague, that nowadays we don't need so much of IT staff to manage those servers. But yeah, I think some management is required. It is not to that extent, but that we can definitely plan whether it is better to have it on premise or host it somewhere else, or whether it is cloud. So that was the reason when we started implementing SAP over here, and we got the option of PC private cloud edition, which is hosted on Azure Pune data center. We immediately opt for it rather than having something into our office. And now with more co-working kind of thing, like I know, in fact, we vacated some of our office in Pune, and we are planning to go for a, I think, 1/3 capacity into a co-working space. So people are thinking of those things also, then having something on-prem. So it's better to move out, unless and until if it is not in your manufacturing industry, which then anyway it will be, it is going to stay with you.
Okay. Thank you. I'll come to you, Heramba. Now, my question is about, we have heard on the management. So one is managing on this cloud environment in terms of budgetary issues, and the other part is having the relevant workforce with the skill set. Are these challenges the budget and people with skill sets?
Hello.
Yeah, Heramba.
So, the decision on cloud adoption and deployment of certain applications on on-prem is a kind of decision that management has to take, where CIO is playing a very important role. So if you really want to make your enterprise intelligent, you need to select what kind of applications you need to deploy to make your business more agile and adaptive to the competitive advantage. So it depends. For example, if you are looking for a good HR solutions, the solution that is being offered from the OEMs could be SuccessFactors, could be Workday, could be any other solutions, are the cloud solutions. These are not possible to deploy on-prem. So you are bound to adopt the cloud solutions per se. But there are certain applications which you like to implement, which can be deployed on-prem, partly deployed, partly on cloud. So it depends upon your adoption strategy. So if you have a good data center already in place, hosted on-prem, you have every right to deploy your solutions as appropriate. And as far as we are concerned, we have kept our SAP DC on cloud, on-prem, as well as SAP DR on cloud. So it is a decision that management has to take, depending upon the depending on the nature of applications that they are going to deploy.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll come to you, Jagdip, on this. Also the same issue on the budget and people with the relevant skill set. What are your experience on that?
So I would say my experience is not too much towards the cost part of it, because as in philosophy, cost was the last thing for us to look at. The first thing was to look at the purpose behind it. Okay, why we are trying to do that activity. So when I was comparing the cloud versus on-prem and a lot of other stuffs, which my co-panelist has already explained a lot about the how to calculate the TCO of a cloud versus on-prem thing, like including all the costs, the power consumptions, power costs, real estate costs, security, and a lot of other things. So if you calculate in totality, I found cloud is a cheaper option. So I may be wrong in my calculations, but this is what I strongly feel, that if you do and complete total cost calculation, I still found cloud is a cheaper option. So in 2018, we moved on HANA Enterprise Cloud, and the entire thing was managed by SAP directly. Secondly, I would say it's also depend on is it a opportunity migration or is it a business migration? So if your hardwares are going for a refresh, or you are facing some other issue, it becomes more an opportunity migrations, where you think of like, when I'm going to migrate and then the existing SAP is not going to support for a longer period, so this hardware will not be working. So it's better to move to a new hardware which will be supporting on the S4 HANA. So that is also, I think, is a I would say is a force measure which CIO has to take instead of the other one. And when it comes to the business side, so business side is always when you add the value to business. So like in S4 HANA, a lot of new things has come. So you can, if you are planning to implement an supply chain, financial supply chain, so that was not earlier as effective into the ECC. Similarly, when you comes to the production planning, so the industry from which I was working earlier before Lohia's 2 months back, so the SAP ERP doesn't support, the MRP doesn't support the production processes. But now with S4 HANA, a lot of things has been broken down from APO into the various sub modules. So instead of buying the complete APO, you can go and buy the advanced ATP. You can buy the modules like PPDS. You can buy several other modules. So it's purely need based. I think it's not like that one thumb rule will fit to all. It's purely depend on the organization needs and what kind of challenges you are trying to address. So like I said, I was looking for the speed, because we used to produce multiple many lakhs batches in a month. So in ECC, if I want to run a report for at my batch level for the all my plant locations, all 4-5 plants, a ECC report was not coming out. But the same was very easy to take it out when it was on S4 HANA. So it's all depend on what exactly you are looking for, what is your business cases, how you are going to drive the value out of this migration. So I think it will fairly vary from purpose, what is the purpose behind it, and it all depend. You are going for a brownfield migration. If your data is very good, then you can go for it. But then if you are going for a selective data transitions, it could be like a cell conversion, it could be like a mix and match where you want to use all your customizations, and on top of that you want to build some more advanced functionality of the S4 HANA, or you can go for a complete greenfield implementation if business is ready to give you the support in terms of required bandwidth from the business side. So I think it's purely a business decision rather than an IT decision, that what kind of migrations you are looking for and what kind of business objectives you are going to achieve with that implementation.
Exactly, got it. Chandresh, your views on managing the HANA environment with having people with relevant skill sets and also the budgetary issues. What are your views?
I'm so sorry. I think one of the very common issues that most of the organization will face is the budgets, because no organization would want to get into a very heavy investment. and mostly SAP is known to be a white elephant. And again, I think having said that, there are two parts to it. One is someone like me would definitely look at cloud as the first option, primarily because it also gives you a flexibility to go slow, right? As we had a discussion of what is right sizing, right? There is never a right sizing, there is always a oversizing, because nobody wants to take that risk of doing a right sizing and then going live and then realizing that, boss, the systems are crashing or the systems are slow or something is wrong, right? That's when cloud comes as a very, very, very good stack of support, where you start absolutely slow, because initially none of these projects are for 2 months or 4 months, right? I mean, most of the SAP HANA will be upwards of 4 to 6 months. I mean, considering the size, and having the amount of hardware on-prem, planning, licenses, and imagine you're not just buying SAP, right? You're buying hardware. Along with it, you will have the OS and the remote licenses. Then you'll have some Red Hat or SUSE or whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, there'll be plethora of licenses that you're going to plan. The cloud gives you an option to just start small, probably just start with a development server for 2 months, 3 months, add on to a QA server for 2 months, 3 months, and probably at the end of the whole project, go live on a cloud. Of course, you test it beforehand, and at some point in time, it may be 6 months, it may be a year, and when you feel that this is something that we have a visibility of business for next 2 to 3 years, I think we might look at an on-prem option. If no, then I think cloud is also a good option, because it is pay as you go. Secondly, it also takes care of your scalability, flexibility, agility part, which on-prem will always lock you in, right? No matter how best planning you do, you will always get stuck somewhere where suddenly your business is growing and you don't know what to do, right? I mean, how would you add sudden capacity to your existing? And on top of that, imagine that happens in COVID, right? I mean, we are in healthcare, so we did more business in COVID than in a normal situation, right? Pre-COVID era. Now imagine if we would have had on-prem during lockdown, considering how would I even manage that? So that was one of that is one of the things that everybody has to consider from a overall perspective of people management. I think that skill set are going to be a biggest challenge for any organization. The moment you change technology, the skill set changes, the way you think about your standard legacy models, everything changes, right? You have mobile application on Fiori, you have your query language, you have your overall architecture on which you want to build your SAP HANA. So
Right.
Skill set, yes, is going to be a challenge. And then of course, on top of it, you just have to ensure that these things are transitioned well in advance. You take, of course, into confidence your entire team who is going to manage it, and probably also ensure that you have certain good backups in place from a partner perspective as well as your own perspective.
Right. Vinay, I'll come to you. Instead of asking a question, I'm sure you have a few slides to show exactly, and you have answered some of the concerns that were raised by your co-panelists. So why don't you present those and sort of allay some of these concerns that have been raised by your co-panelists. Vinay.
Yeah, thank you very much. So in a initial discussion, I did not introduce about our company much. So the name of our company, as you may already know, is CorporateServe Solutions. We are based in Gurgaon, and along with SAP, what we have done is we have, apart from working in several other industries, we have focused on two industries. One is metal industry, which is forging and fabrication and metal related industry, and the second is life sciences. In life sciences, mostly it is pharmaceutical and related process industries. So what we have done is we have worked and developed certain additional features available on the SAP S4 HANA product, and we have productized those features. And I will just show you 2 slides to talk about these features, how we have done, and these are already certified by SAP to be sold in the market along with SAP. And these are part of SAP within the core of SAP. It's not a separate product as such. It is in the core of SAP and duly certified by SAP. So one of the products that we talked is MetalSoft. I'll just share my screen. So hope you are able to see the orange color screen. Yeah. So MetalSoft actually is a SAP certified or qualified partner package solution, and this caters to certain specific requirements of the industry. And the industry, by industry, I would mean the very specific metal, where the metal becomes, or the commodity of metal becomes very important. And these features are tool and die optimization during planning itself, because tool and die is very important component of, it is a critical component of entire metal industry. And then this is a marketing thing. The second point is dynamic RFQs. And the third is in relation to, which is related to first and second, is new product development features. And then we have done some integration with LME, MCX, and FE rates, and those drive our RFQs and the pricing that we drive out of the system. So these are some of the features that we have developed for metal industry. Similarly, there is another product that we have developed, which is PharmaSoft. This is also a product which is certified by SAP. In fact, this is the second time we have a PharmaSoft version 2.0 right now. 4 years back, we launched this product, and it is already being used by many companies, including some pharma companies and life sciences companies, and also consumer packaged industries, just like cosmetic products companies. And some of the features of this are as follows. If you see the red points, assay and LODs management, excipient material management, then the date management, which is very specific, retest dates, etc. Loan licensing in case of pharmaceuticals, and auto analytical report generation, DL number and BMR. Entire BMR and BPR is a part of this solution. So this is something we have done for pharma industry and consumer packaged industry. And in relation to infrastructure, normally we depend on NTT for offering infrastructure to our customers. In fact, we become a single shop for our end customers. We also provide, of course, SAP licenses, and SAP licenses, as you know, is a very complex matter. What license is required in what form and what quantity, and what is the of the license. This is very complex. Although counting number of users is a very raw or crude way of selling license, but then if you go into details, sorry, I'm sure those who are already using SAP would know it's a very, very complex thing to work on. So we help customers on SAP licensing, the right kind of licensing. Of course, implementation services is our area of delivery, and then we engage NTT for Netmagic for the purpose of infrastructure, rest of the infrastructure, which is hardware and servers. So, thanks. Hope you have got the answer to your questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinay. I'll come to you, Girish. Vinay talked about NTT Netmagic being the infrastructure partner, and we all know NTT Netmagic has been one of the premier infrastructure provider in across India. So you have heard most of your co-panelists, the CIOs, talking about the challenges on the infrastructure side. So I'd like you to run through maybe a couple of slides on what entity Netmagic has to offer to mitigate some of the concerns your co-panelists mentioned. Girish.
Yeah, thank you. I think first of all, we heard a lot of experience today, and I really feel privileged to share screen with them all. So much experience. I want to share a little bit of my experience. So there is a plant, major tractor manufacturer plant in Pithampur near Indore. I don't want to take the name, but yeah, I worked there for nearly 3 months, and what I was doing there is I was analyzing that how many reports are still even after SAP deployment they were coming manually. You know, so all I want to tell you is that the real idea behind deploying SAP was deriving the business benefits, but you know, that's that you got the hint with what I'm pointing out. When SAP HANA is there, the core decision has to be much bigger than infra only. The second point is all over the world, the data center industry is growing at 30% plus CAGR. You saw it last year. Same is with the cloud. There has to be a reason to it. That's my second pointer. My third pointer would be, rather than just looking at cost, what cloud can save you is TCO. It takes away, one of my fellow panelists actually put it very brilliantly, and I totally agree. The real idea is the kind of efforts that you can save on, the kind of easily available expertise that you can use in enabling your business. As I gave you an example, in realizing the 10x value out of your SAP HANA deployment. So I think I will focus on deriving 10x out of SAP HANA deployment rather than a simple infrastructure decision, because most of the time, of course, I don't run away from comparing the cost of clouds with on-prem, because that's what we do day in and out for our customers. We are your partners. We are all hybrid IT providers, right? From a bare metal, we provide a private cloud on our premises. We allow customers to bring their infra and host in a data center. We provide containers, we provide VMs on a variety of platforms. So like, we as a partner to your IT organizations, we are all there to help you in the ways your people processes work at your place. We help you overcome those challenges, and still every organization has unique needs and unique ways of evaluation. Even while comparing on-premise to cloud, there are many elements, right? It is not only the cost of infra, it is also the cost of your capital, the opportunity cost. How are you going to treat that cost that you're incurring in your books of account? There are multitude of factors that we take into account, but I feel the biggest thing is you free up yourself from infrastructure worries, and you use that to get 10x value or 20x or 30x, whatever your target out of SAP HANA, right? As a business enabler. So IT organizations are as business enablers, and we as people, we look at them. Beside that, in a nutshell, all I can say is in SAP HANA also, the 4 key things: are you in a hybrid cloud? Have you got the right kind of network connectivity? Do you have the data continuity in terms of either, do you have a primary or DR? How you are doing the backup, as intelligently one of my fellow panelists talk about keeping us a backup, right? And the last but not the least is security, right? In the given time when everybody is accessing it, from remote locations, how are you ensuring a uniform security policy? So when you come to a data center player like us, we try and consolidate all these capabilities. Of course, I won't say, because I don't want to deny or what my fellow panelists really put up a lot of their experience. There is a cost to everything, but the benefit is, by incurring this cost, how do you improve upon your TCO? How do you actually change your direction from investing a lot into infra and more into enablement of business? So that's how we help IT organizations out there. My second thing would be that SAP HANA, when you're deploying, you can go for a hybrid cloud, and players like us help organizations realize benefit in multitude of ways. So when you're comparing, you can even have a private cloud or in a data center like Netmagic. It is not that means I'll be very honest with you. I meet with apprehensions from my customer. They tell me that I have space in my plant, which is zero cost. I have a lot of space, so I can host servers. So I agree with I don't deny such argument, but all I can tell you is that a data center is altogether a different field. How you're securing it, how well you're connected there, how you're maintaining multiple power feeds there. So while comparing value, you have to be a broader mindset, and we expect IT organizations to be our communicator within their organizations. Because I'll be honest with you, my first SAP HANA customer was a manufacturing customer. My second SAP HANA customer was a manufacturing customer. So I already met that traditional on-premises kind of mindset. But my idea would be that by breaking that mindset, CIOs actually can bring in a lot of value to their IT organization and in turn to business as a whole. So it's a matter of broadening your mindset and realizing what and all benefit other businesses are realizing out of moving to cloud or data center, which provide now variety of options. So we, along with CorporateServe, are there to serve you in all the ways. Simple, it might be as simple as patching up your Red Hat using your RHEL for SAP instance, using a automated patching mechanism with satellite they're sitting in our premises and automated all the patches and updates. It might be as simple as that. But my core idea is by incurring a very small incremental cost, what you're doing is you're generating a lot of capabilities for yourself to enable business and derive 10x, 20x, and 100x out of your SAP S4 HANA migration. So that's all from my side. And once again, thank you for being here with us. Over to you, Rajneesh.
Yeah, thank you, Girish. So this debate between on-premise and cloud will continue, and especially since today we have mostly people from the manufacturing sector and fairly large organizations from across the country. We have sort of running out of time. So I will like to conclude with some of the main messages that have come out are basically most of the organizations are looking towards migration towards SAP HANA for benefits in terms of data quality, in terms of mobility, in terms of having more analytical kind of solutions. Then obviously there is, especially in the manufacturing sector, still a debate between whether you want to move on-premise or on a cloud environment, though there is a concerted measure to talk about the ROI and TCO in both the environments, and increasingly we are seeing a more hybrid model adoption. We talked about the budgetary concerns, we talked about the skill sets. Then from CorporateServe, we heard about an SAP implementation partner, and specifically for the metal sector and the life sciences sector, how their solutions can help some of the enterprises and CIOs in who are looking towards migrating towards SAP HANA or looking at upskilling some other applications already on their HANA platform. We heard from NTT Netmagic on as an infrastructure provider what they bring on the table and how they offer their solutions and services. And we heard from the CIOs their concerns about the infrastructure and challenges from a partner perspective. So I would like to thank all the panelists for having a very interactive session. And as I mentioned, we were watched by 100 odd people, and this was a very informative discussion. And I'm sure some of the best practices that you have learned from here can be taken and applied to your business organization, and that would benefit you in the long run. So thanks a lot to all the panelists, and best wishes to all of you, and thank you again.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.